My child, pay attention to me. The present is not a chance moment. You didn't find this message by chance. I drew you here. I have been patiently and attentively observing you through the eyes of the only person who has kept track of every breath, tear, and second of your struggle. You've been tenaciously enduring for a very long time. You persisted as the weight attempted to crush your soul, even when your knuckles turned white and your energy ran out. When answers were not as loud as silence, when even people closest to you failed to notice how exhausted you had undoubtedly been. I noticed you. I see you now. And because you've carried more than what was rightfully yours, persevered longer than they ever realized, and stayed when others could have left, the present is the moment I've been waiting to get to you. At this moment, I want you to grasp something very proper. I am not addressing the world. I'm speaking to you. You were the one who remained awake at night, questioning whether I had truly heard you. People didn't know how to value you, so you wondered how much you were worth. Even though you were secretly unraveling inside, you smiled to maintain the strength of others. That is no longer an accident, my child. It is your divine appointment. I needed to whisper something sacred into your chaos, so I planned every moment that brought you here. You're on the verge of starting something new. Nevertheless, you must focus first. This next season of your life depends on your ability to hear me, which is why I need your undivided attention. I need your undivided attention, not the clamor, not the uncertainties, not the assessments, but just me. For too long, you have been strong. Your strength is what I want to have now. You've spent too much time surviving. Now, I want to show you what it looks like to essentially remain under my covering without wearing a mask. Stress-free and worry-free. I'm not asking you to figure it out now. I'm not under as much stress because of you anymore. I sincerely hope you will think about what I'm going to reveal. I chose this moment to speak because your spirit is finally ready to accept what your mind has struggled with for years. The changes around you are palpable. You can't quite explain the unexpected conclusions, the strange silence, or the feeling that something is about to happen. I've been clearing space. I've been getting rid of things that you didn't realize were hurting you. You didn't have the energy to walk far, so I've been answering prayers by the last doorways. It was safety, even though it might have felt like abandonment, rejection, or confusion. I was the one. And now I want you to realize that the time for just continuing is coming to an end. The period of marginal survival is over. I'm going to speak into your life in a way that will change everything for the better. But you must allow me access to the innermost parts of your heart, not just to your words or deeds. You have relied on me during the storm, but now I wish to lead you into tranquility. You trailed me through suffering, but now I must crown you in recovery. I've waited patiently for this moment, and now, with all the power of heaven, I'm telling you that you've persevered longer than most people would have, and I want to speak to your heart. Don't back off. Avoid scrolling past this. You requested a signal, so I'm giving it to you. Come live with me. I've only just begun. I want you to lean in closer now that you're listening with your spirit's ears, because the present is a sacred moment. Before you enter, you must know what I will show you. I no longer intend for the public to witness the entirety of what I provide. For those who have endured the silence, it's best to whisper some truths. You are the ones who stayed put when it hurt. Those who remain motionless when every part of them wanted to give up. Additionally, you have shown devotion in the valley. I will now begin discussing secrets that only those who have trusted me in confidence know. Before you advance further and the next door opens, you must reveal certain aspects of your heart. This transition is but excellent. This phenomenon has to do with change. You are not going from one place to another in the same state. I'm not just moving to your place anymore. I am rebuilding your foundation. I have to make what has been stirring inside of you readable. The questions that awoke you in the middle of the night, the unrest, and the holy discontent are all part of what I am working on. You weren't tense about that. This situation leads me to attempt to attract your attention. I've implanted a new vision in you, and it's getting louder every day because I want to assist you in settling in a place I'm not supposed to be helping you stay in. However, I will not permit you to use old weights on your new walk. I may not let you control your future, but I will keep the voices of those who never saw your worth. I should therefore show you what has been preventing you from being at peace. What has been causing you to lose confidence? Why have your expectations been tainted? Because of the way they treated you, you believed some lies. And I am going to pull them out like thorns in your skin. You've carried burdens because someone else refused to get better. And now I'm cutting that chain. I didn't ask you to carry anything that wasn't yours. I didn't call you to be the caretaker of broken souls at your own expense. You're curious about that. I'm the one you want to hear that from, not everyone else, because I observed how you subtly crumbled under the weight of roles you never chose. And I can now release you from every unseen commitment that bound your growth to pain before this bankruptcy expires. Just because you started a season doesn't mean you have to stay in it. You are under no obligation to finish the tasks I have not given you. Pay close attention to what I have to say. Your obedience is better shown by how you react when I say it's time to go than by how long you endure it. And now it's time to walk into what has been planned, rather than just leaving behind what is comfortable. But revelation is necessary for training. And I'm going to reveal some secrets not to embarrass you, but to loosen your bonds. Routine has covered up the underlying causes of fear, which I can uncover. I can demonstrate to you how several of your styles were survival strategies rather than heavenly methods. I'll help you see how you subtly surrendered your strength during the call for peace. I can help you see what you've been carrying that wasn't really your project at first. And there might be a launch while you're watching, when the curtain lifts. Before you even take a step forward, you will feel free. Because my reality liberates rather than burdens. You will experience a divine likeness. My truth elevates rather than depresses. This message invites you to lighten your spirit, open your eyes, and embrace your destiny. Breathe in. You're not overdue. You're not behind it. You're right on schedule for the revelation. Before this story ends, I have a lot to tell you. Come lie with me. I'm going to show you everything. Your story isn't always realized by the tension, the weight in your chest, or the silence that envelops you right now. Your finality pause is incorrect. But I'm here to reveal the truth that lies beneath the silence. The sound of one season finishing its purpose is actually what appears to be a door closing. It isn't crumbling anymore. It's a change. It's not always a punishment or a sign of abandonment when you're in this phase where solution seems slow and readability seems far away. However, it's much earlier than when I write the next sentence of your justification. Furthermore, I no longer write down your fate. I write it with purpose, accuracy, and a permanent inset. Therefore, I want you to grasp something more profound than you have ever considered. It's not always the end of the road at this precise moment. Now it's miles turn. It is the area where the ink dries on the last line of what you have acknowledged, leaving the clean parchment ready for my hand to circulate again. I am no longer swept away with your story. I am only beginning to understand every unresolved question, every closed door, and every delay you faced with hesitant faith. The bankruptcy you believed would devastate you did happen as planned. It was intended to unite you. You see, I don't tell the group when I'm transitioning you. I let your spirit see it. I arouse something inside of you that you sense but are essentially unable to explain. You sense a restlessness and a desire to move forward, yet you're uncertain about where to begin. This is the reason I'm starting a new chapter in my life. I want to remind you that this is merely a divine transition, despite what the world may claim about it being over, and how others might expect you to abandon your manners. You're going to realize that I was always by your side. I stayed where no one else did, even when you passed through shadowed areas. I shielded you from things that tempted to touch you, but you were unaware of it. Now, I am moving forward because you remained and believed when perception was merely a whisper. But I want you to stop limiting the dead as if it were your greatest triumph. I want you to stop wondering if you need to go again, and looking over your shoulder. What's behind you is now merely a stepping stone rather than your final destination. I didn't even ask you to construct a temporary dwelling for this purpose. I believe you will embrace a lasting future alongside me. Therefore, do not mistake this divine transition for a conclusion. The enemy wants you to think it's over, that you've forgotten, that too much time has passed, and that your best days are gone. But now I stand before you properly, holding a quill dipped in heavenly ink, ready to write what ears have not heard and eyes have not seen. I can bring people's lives into a state of felt dormancy. I won't make you do this, though. I'll wait for someone to have faith. I can wait for you to leave your old self and become who you've always been to me. You're not at the rear. You are not ineligible. The author has you in his grip and never abandons the story. Bream, give the old phrases a chance to relax. Give the old wounds time to heal and prepare yourself for self-discovery, atonement, and rejuvenation. Because your story doesn't end here. At this point, the ink starts to flow again. That's where the wish comes back. At this point, you realize that you were never alone during the process. I was here at the time. Now I'm here. I may include that in every subsequent sentence I write. Baby, you're not giving up. The divine is about to unfold for you. Let me change the page. I should speak clearly now that your heart is awakening to the truth, even if it causes you discomfort. You can't walk the path I made for you with the same weight you were pulling behind you. Not all relationships are meant to last a lifetime. Some are best suited to serve you for a season. There are places that used to support you but now impede the development I'm urging. Certain actions, thought patterns, and comforts that once enabled you to survive will now easily prevent you from thriving. And I love you too much to allow you to carry over the attachments from the previous day to tomorrow's tasks. You've been wondering why good relationships suffer, why familiar locations suffer abroad, and why the things that used to make you happy now disappear and leave you feeling uneasy. It's alignment, not a coincidence. I'm changing the environment around you to mirror the alternative that I'm creating within you. There is no punishment for you. You're getting ready. But separation follows that instruction. Not everyone who accompanied you through the last chapter is prepared to bear the burden of your subsequent promotion. Some of them have been your companions in your desolate area, but they won't be well in your promised land. I am aware that it hurts. I saw how you made an effort to keep everyone close. I understood your feelings about loyalty, even when it brought you pain. But I never asked you to continue doing something that isn't working out. At the point of release, healing often begins to evolve. If I'm throwing it away, it's because I'm replacing it. Since I'm creating an area, if I'm stirring distance, it's miles. Additionally, I want you to focus more on me than on the old voices, which is why I'm silencing them. The version of you that broke with the one most people saw, and they had expectations for it. They might not recognize the person you are becoming. They will interpret your movement as treachery, your silence as conceit, and your stillness as coldness. However, you are not responsible for elucidating a divine transition to those who were not meant to comprehend it. I'm not calling you cruel now. I'm calling on you to obey. Additionally, obedience occasionally necessitates putting the familiar at the back in order for you to incorporate what God has set aside. You can't adopt a royal mindset while still holding on to survival mentalities. You cannot keep word-based styles while inheriting the entirety of my guarantees. I also understand that letting go is akin to losing something. However, in my nation, giving up is always accompanied by gaining something, although it may not be easily recognized by the industry. Now I ask, would you like to walk with me? Even if it means taking a short walk alone. You haven't seen what's next, but do you think of me as you let go? Because I've promised you this. I can't ask you to give up anything unless I intend to give you something else in exchange. It may not be as glitzy, loud, or grandiose as it once was, but it is consistently richer, typically deeper, and more in line with your motivation than anything you have ever identified. But your hands have to be empty to get that. You can't cling to what's finished and hold on to what's coming up. So let it fall if it has to. If the area should expand, let it. Allow the doorways to approach without resentment, so that the fruit can eventually flourish. Let me do the pruning. I understand that your needs are more important than your wants. And I swear the parts you're scared to lose won't be needed in the future I've planned. Go ahead. Every farewell at the back of you is worthwhile for what lies ahead. I want you to grasp something holy and often misinterpreted. There might always be a weight at the soul before freedom arrives, a sacred suffering that comes before divine launching. Furthermore, I can no longer pretend that the technique feels natural, even though you responded by using my name to walk away from anything that does not fit the shape of your destiny. The suffering you are currently experiencing, the sudden silence, the pain of leaving is no longer a vulnerability. That is courage's motivation. That's the sound of skin and pores vanishing, which you can no longer incorporate when covered. You've let go of what has grown familiar, and now you feel a void in your fingers. You have permitted a cross-section of relationships, places, and memories that contain documents, including pains. You can feel the full weight of absence now. And I'm actually here right now, not to take away the emotion, but to accompany you on your journey through it. Because that heaviness might contain holiness. The pause has a purpose. It's not always possible to escape the sadness that comes with saying goodbye. It is worth honoring. The pain demonstrates your deep love, unwavering dedication, and courageous belief. It's not shameful to express this grief. It is revered. It indicates that your heart has transformed into a gift. It became real. It opens out with the assignments that rely on it the most. I take into consideration the uncommon kind of coronary heart. However, I am aware that what follows is confusing. You expected relief right away. On the other hand, there is a great deal of silence. The discharge must settle before the new can push upward, which is the real reason. Your position within among us. 1 foot waiting for the no longer, 1 foot inside it. And there will be a whirlpool of emotions here. Doubts will murmur and questions will arise. But let me speak louder. You're not lost. I create my best paintings in the divine center, which you are in. You're not being chastised, shaped, or cast aside. You're being subtle. Since your roots grow deeper in this tenderness, I am not rushing this process. If you do not experience something, you cannot heal from it. Therefore, I allow the burden to stabilize you and demonstrate to you what definite subjects are, rather than interrupt you. I aim to eliminate the background noise so that you can focus solely on hearing my voice. You can cry, of course. Yes, you might hurt. But now, don't allow your feelings to tell you that you've made a mistake. Giving up no longer equated to abandonment. It shifted into alignment. Freedom is on the horizon. Usually it does. By no means does it use fireworks to announce itself. It comes gradually, like the first light of dawn on a worn landscape. First a glow, then a warm temperature, then sight, and you might feel it as if you were holding in a breath that you didn't realize was finally being released. It feels as if the gentle act of tiptoeing is returning to your environment, with peace completely replacing fear. I'm bringing that liberty. But first I had to clear space. Here is space for your emotions, soul, and environment. You express this weight. It's the precipice of fame, and you're not walking it alone. Your heart is receiving the utmost care from me. I'm saving every tear as if it were a treasure. When you're sleeping, I'm talking over you. I am reclaiming areas where your idea is no longer viable. We don't forget you. You're in the process. This process is producing something eternal. Thus, take your time. Don't curse the suffering. Avoid trying to fill the void with alternatives. Come sit in it with me. Have faith in me through it. See how I transform grief into power. See how I transform ashes into something utterly stunning. You may now see what you lost and gained. And you will realize that the suffering you've endured is no longer necessary. It transformed into the holy floor, the gateway, and the pathway between the past and the future. Yes, the farewell is heavy, but the release can be straightforward soon. Keep the wobbling intact. It feels like the morning is far away. Some farewells you lament, and then others you are unaware of except for yourself. Not every change in your way of life is meant to shatter you. Some are set up to protect you. At first, you can't see it because leaving frequently feels like a loss. However, I wish to reveal to you something more profound, something holy. While you were grieving, you might have overlooked what with walking away. I carefully untangled some connections, because they had been gradually tearing you apart. I let some voices go because they persisted in speaking against the truth I ingrained in your spirit. I removed you from certain situations not because you didn't succeed, but rather because you were beginning to lose sight of your true value. Even though there was a reverberation from the absence, it was stronger than the deterioration of your identity. You were blind to the ulterior motives. When you weren't in the room, you didn't realize what had turned into whispers. You couldn't figure out how much of your mildness was dimmed in order to fit in with parts of your spirit that were too small. However, I did. I saw it all. I listened to every word. I observed every subtle shift. So I stepped in with mercy. I didn't let it remain because you would have started making concessions where you were supposed to prevail. Even though you experienced the pain of being apart, you were unable to perceive the greater likelihood that I had drawn you away. That's the real reason I call it protection. When you were still trying to grasp the afterlife, I was protecting your future. While you were genuinely looking for peace, I was protecting your cause. That's acceptable. Attempting to turn it into a painting did not contribute to your failure. To put it simply, you love it. You gave your all. In actuality, you concur with it. You're not stupid because of it. It provides you courage. But now, I want you to see the truth. I stand up for what I touched. You are no longer cast apart. You are protected. You are not cut off. You are chosen. Rejection was no longer the shift. The result is redirection. You did not say a few goodbyes. For you, they took place. If you had stayed, you would have continued to shrink. You will have had to endure being quiet to make others comfortable. You would have continued searching for evidence of your true value to people, but you have now chosen not to do so. So, even though it caused you stress, I let the parting happen. I'm here now to tell you that what you believe you had lost actually still exists. It became a rescue. You didn't rule out anything. You avoided a challenge. Love did not leave you. The phantasm was far away from you. You didn't fall in the rear. You avoided a situation that might have ruined your future. In the second instance, I support you in ways that you may not fully comprehend. I shut doors you pleaded with me to open because I saw what appeared on the other side. Since I understand that birthday celebrations are impairing your judgment, I remove rid of the things you celebrated. And despite everything, even when your heart is pounding with confusion, I remain by your side, whispering reality. It demonstrates my dedication to your development. To begin with what is essential, I will dismantle what is considered safe. I can upend what was thought to be secure in order to create what became timeless. And you will notice the styles when you look and come back, which you will. You'll see how each goodbye steered you toward fulfillment. You'll see how every change paved the way for the arrival of something sacred. And knowing that my hand has always been there will ultimately cause your soul to exhale. I never remove something without a reason. I no longer stand up for nothing. Furthermore, I never leave you unattended. Breathe then. Let the comfort come. Let the burden fall from your shoulders. You're not damaged. They're building you. You are no longer injured. Something lovely is being woven around you. Every step you took was accompanied by guidance. And I want you to listen to it from me these days. The supporters of Wells are no longer viewed as tragic figures. Some are hidden gems that are kept quiet. Some are love sent shields. And I'll always keep you safe. You were unable to keep it a secret, weren't you? I witnessed it. You said. The only place where your soul whispered what your mouth was unable to express. No one noticed that your fingers were shaking when you made the decision. I was present during the time, yet no one noticed how you avoided eye contact as your heart silently broke. I watched every emotion pass through your chest as I stood next to you in the silence. The cost of choosing launch over consolation to avoid clinging to what turned into your peace was not acknowledged by the arena. However, I did acknowledge it. When you smiled for all the other people, I saw every tear that blinked from your eyes. I couldn't forget how you remained resilient during the day but melted into silence as darkness encircled you. The heavens trembled when your soul finally acknowledged that it was no longer able to carry some weights because such a surrender is uncommon. You see, it's not always weakness to let go. Holy courage, that's what it is. And it's likely that you chose to move forward without closure. You chose to leave without holding anyone responsible for their actions. I'm glad I decided to say goodbye now. Not because I'm frustrated, but because of renovations that required a certain kind of faith. You didn't yell. You didn't request it. In actuality, you bowed your head and let me take what was never meant to be there. You trusted me enough to leave even though it broke something inside of you. I honor that. That's what I answer. When nothing makes sense, I have a heart that is willing to accept things as true, not flawless performances. You were unsure if you were doing the correct thing. You doubted yourself. You even questioned whether you gave up too quickly. But I am here to confirm what your spirit has already sensed. Time passes. The time has come. I witnessed your pleasure gradually deteriorating while everyone else continued to enjoy the floor. Your soul dimmed, and certain parts of you became exhausted from acting. I couldn't allow that to remain intact. So I nudged and whispered. I made you feel uneasy, and it wouldn't go away. And then you paid attention, although it is meant to be a step into the unknown. Even so, it was intended to be a journey taken without applause. Let me tell you this even though it required me to greet you alone. In light, what you most likely did in silence might be restored. Reason will increase what you gave up in faith. For your soul's sake, something far more sacred than anything you've ever known will replace what you left behind. Now you weren't left behind. You've been in agreement. I now want you to avoid omitting the tender part of your story. You learned to bury your pain in the arena. However, I say, your tears are not signs and symptoms of failure. Let me contact it. Let me anoint it. Let me use it to minister healing to others who are too afraid to release what's breaking them. You are no longer lost. You are not vulnerable. You are not forgotten. You are visible. And you are protected. They may be evidence that your heart still beats with compassion, truth, and conviction. So yes, I saw the tears, the silent sobs, and the times when you looked up for a sign that you were not making a mistake. Even though you cannot feel it, I am wooing you with my hand. Even though the tears fell silently, I gathered each person. I don't just observe, I remember. And I redeem. You'll see. The weight will soon increase. You'll quickly understand why the farewell had to come to pass. And the tears you shed in private could be the very testimony that releases someone else in public. You have always had a kind heart. So don't regret what you let go of. And don't question the prompting that brought you here. You genuinely listened to my words, and I commend you for your compliance despite your trembling arms. Stay with me, and the next part of the adventure will make every silent tear worthwhile. I understand the back of your heart, how much you want to see others succeed, how strongly you believe in redemption, and what kind of person you must be to be a bridge for those who are still wandering. You have tried to uplift everyone, pull them forward, and carry their burdens. But now, I must deliver a harsh reality to your soul. Your calling is too heavy for anyone but the strongest of my students to bear. It's not that they are bad, but they are not meant for you. The more you try to drag everyone along, the heavier your journey becomes. Now, not everyone you love is a part of the next season I am leading you into. You have been destroyed not because of what you were called to do, but because of the people you tried to carry with you. You are no longer their savior, I am. You are no longer their supply, I am. You are no longer their answer, I am. You weaken the anointing I gave you when you tried to be their guide, while walking your own path. You slow down because you expect others to carry the burden, but they will not. It is no longer your failure, that is their desire. You must no longer confuse compassion with disobedience. I did not summon you to carry the weight of those who resist change. I know you to walk in obedience even if the path becomes slender. You keep going back, hoping to convince them of a reality I have already discussed. But some can't hear me because they are clinging to what I'm asking them to start. The truth is that elevation usually causes separation. The higher I take you, the less you may be able to maintain tempo. It is no longer punishment. It is precision. I know you'll obey me, not them, even if they walk beside you. The applause fades and the know-how stops. Simply walk. Just circulate. Once I say circulate, just trust that I know who belongs and who doesn't. I've already found the right people along your path. If you don't fire them, those who helped one bankruptcy may hinder the next. You would rather not announce your distance or give an explanation for your boom. People who will help you grow, support you, and align with what I am creating in you. And I have already removed those whose presence would impede your obedience. If they faded, it became intentional. If they left, it became divine timing. If they are not experiencing nearness, it is because I am shifting your circle to reflect your calling. I know you don't want to hurt everyone, and I know you're afraid of being misinterpreted, but you can't manage everyone's feelings and steward destiny at the same time. I'm not asking you to be cruel anymore. I'm asking you to be faithful. Those who are meant to walk with you will not try to outdo you, put out your fire, or hold you back. My assignments include grace, not exhaustion, and I am calling you now to lighten your load not because I want you to walk alone, but because I need you to walk with readability. They will protect your peace. They may stir your spirit with facts. And if you discover yourself constantly exhausted by someone's presence, that is not love, it is misalignment. You are honoring me by obeying what I have said, and I will deal with them and take care of you. But this path is holy, and it requires easy palms, clear imaginative and prescient minds and surrendered steps, so cross unapologetically, obediently, and peacefully. I will surround you with the right voices at the right time, but for now, start the stress to convey everyone. Your future is waiting. What I am bringing you into right now isn't just another season. It's a highly sacred transition that shouldn't be handled carelessly or in the midst of chaos. I may need to expose something sacred and delicate within you that requires space others may not understand. I'm asking you to step again, not to isolate out of concern, but to separate out of obedience. I'm bringing you into a moment of sacred stillness, not because I'm far away, but because I want to be closer than you've ever let me be. The solitude I've planned for you is a sanctuary, not a void. You've grown accustomed to regular voices, constant movement, and the comfort of familiar communication. You've long yearned for readability, and it's coming, but first I should silence the voices of history. Some revelation comes not through rationalization, but by coming upon. It smiles from the chamber, where I will whisper identity into your spirit, where I can make clear the course you've been begging to hear, and where I will do away with every residue that clings to you from environments I never meant for you to linger in. And your perspective seems to have changed as distractions fade and your ears become fully tuned to me. I'm not calling you into loneliness anymore. Instead, I'm calling you into intimacy, the kind of intimacy that rips away false comfort and reveals the true state of your coronary heart, not to shame you but to prepare you for what I am building inside of you. It wishes for the silence of personal surrender. The soil of your soul should be tilled before I can plant the intensity of reason I've set aside for you. And that, I understand, may seem unsettling. A sudden silence, a change in speech, the absence of people who used to be there all the time. It seems like something is missing, but I assure you that what's missing was never meant to be there. I'm not punishing you by making you walk by yourself for a while. Rather, I'm putting you in this position because I want to strengthen your bond with me before I make new connections. I need to talk to you before I identify new people to walk beside you, and I need to ensure that your spirit hears me above all other sounds. You know you're enough when you're alone, not just in theory but in practice, and your worth isn't based on how many people believe in you, trust you, or include you. Your value is determined by my voice, and I am going to make that voice unmistakably pure. You may see how much noise has clouded your judgment, how often you've changed your gait to accommodate others, and how painful that attention can be. It's necessary for what's ahead. It requires accuracy. You're entering sacred territory, so your footing should be steady and your ears should be keen. This time of solitude will not last forever, but it is far more important. Your heart must be rooted in my truth about you, not others' labels. Therefore, do not resist the silence. Be it. Let me remove the layers that do not belong to you. Let me fill the void where communication used to float with words from heaven to bring life to parched places. Allow me this chance to introduce you to yourself. I designed myself. The self that existed before the sector told you who you were supposed to be. Let this year be the season when I end up being your first voice, not your ultimate hotel. The connections I am bringing into your destiny will align with your refined purpose, rather than your past styles. Rushing this process puts you at risk of introducing old echoes into a new environment. You may need to understand something now, completely and without confusion. What you are going through is not a result of failure. It is not discipline for making a poor purchase. Rather, it is the refinement that precedes restoration. Walk with me in the silence now, so you can walk with readability later. This journey is sacred. Treat it as such. This transformation seems like a cleansing, and I'm not removing people or situations from you to punish you. Rather, I'm sanctifying the space you're moving into. When I begin to transition someone I like, I don't do it to hurt them. Rather, I do it to purify what has become entangled with things that haven't been supposed to stay. You have my support for clarity, logic, and a peace that goes beyond understanding, and I am fulfilling the prayer by eliminating the distractions that have obscured your perspective instead of introducing new ones. You see it. I do my most transformative work now by reducing interference rather than adding more. Because where I'm taking you, there must be space for truth, light, and holiness. I am silencing the noise you have become accustomed to, disrupting the styles that do not fit who you are becoming, and releasing the attachments that once seemed harmless but have become obstacles. Purity isn't really about movement, it's about alignment, about having a heart that beats in time with my lifestyle and shows my presence without distortion. And that can't happen when your spirit is burdened by what used to be. A few things must be peeled and returned in order for that to manifest. You may feel that parts of your life are falling apart, but I am actually putting the pieces back in divine order. I'm not ashamed of your past, and I'm not disappointed in your journey. I just see a future for you that needs complete clarity, and I'm clearing the way. It's not because you were infected, but because I need to make you even more radiant. Don't take my pruning as a sign that I've chosen you to carry something bigger. I don't prune what I intend to discard. I prune what I have destined to flourish. I am showing you what became hidden beneath the floor so that I can rebuild with energy, not instability. I know pruning feels sharp, but it also prepares you to carry purity, not perfection, but wholeness, the kind of wholeness that enters a room and changes the ecosystem, the kind of wholeness that doesn't perform but just is. It reveals what you'd rather keep hidden. It separates you from what you cling to. That's what I'm creating in you. I'm calling you to live a transparent life. No more acting, no more shrinking to please others, and no more hiding aspects of yourself to maintain peace that isn't real. This purification will clear your surroundings and your vision, allowing you to see clearly what you previously excused. You can parent what I've sent and what is merely presented as true. That kind of change takes time, and this well is making it possible for you to communicate with a new authority that is unmistakable but not loud. Previously, you couldn't see it because the layers were deep, the bonds were tight, and the patterns were familiar, but I'm pulling everything apart so that what's left is me, mostly me. Because your roots will no longer be entangled in transient attachments. They may be anchored in the eternal. So, no, proper distance is not punishment. It's about training and purifying your area, voice, and course. And once you are rooted in that type of basis, nothing will shake you, not betrayal, distance, or a transition. Allow me to apply these paintings to you, to cleanse what you may not have realized has become burdensome, and to remove the dirt from your perspective, because once that is complete, you will shine effortlessly with a purity that arises most effectively from surrendering. I'm not stripping you down, I'm releasing you. It's about getting rid of what dulls your sensitivity so that you can sense me again, closer, clearer, and deeper than ever. And that freedom will be unmistakable. Several things around you, some familiar, some diffused, began to erode your inner peace without your full awareness. Now, not everything that robs peace enters with chaos. Many of the greatest threats to your well-being appear in disguise, disguised as consolation, and wrapped in loyalty. You started to feel the unrest long before you noticed the words to explain it, and the conversations that were later thought to be innocent began to drain you. That is why I stepped in. I didn't wait for it to completely destroy you. I did so while your spirit was still soft enough to feel and smooth enough to respond. The places that used to feel like home began to feel strange, and your reactions changed. You became quiet in places where you used to laugh. Your silence wasn't a coincidence. It was your soul trying to warn you that something sacred was being tampered with. And now I'm here to tell you what your heart already suspects. The entire situation, which you described as peaceful, changed to complete peace, and some of it became numbing. Some of it has transformed into a version of itself. You shrank to protect the environment. You lowered your voice to prevent anxiety. And you put up with patterns that gradually eroded your happiness because you were scared to disturb what felt secure. But I'm not calling you to phony peace. I'm calling you to true freedom. Real freedom necessitates realignment, so I began to distance myself from you, not as a form of punishment but as a rescue. You wondered why positive people started to distance themselves, why doors did not open the way they should have, and you noticed a disconnect between your inner voice and the outside world. That made you who you are. You see, I value your peace more than your performance. I get rid of you before the damage is irreversible. I used to be removing you from environments that once served a purpose but now stand in the way of your goals. Things that no longer align with your identity were shaping you. I put your health before your comfort, and I took quick action when I noticed that your surroundings were beginning to cloud your judgment. I am a shepherd, and even though one of my personal traits has evolved to lean toward chance, I don't wait, I achieve. And that's precisely what I did with you. You didn't lose anything important during this separation. Yes, it felt like absence. Yes, the unexpected part becomes confusing. But look at your spirit now. It is beginning to breathe again. It is remembering what true peace feels like. You won power. You won readability. You won the ability to listen to me again without distortion. I am giving you sharper insight, revealing conversations that deliver subtle destruction, restoring your ability to understand what disrupts your ecosystem, and revealing the places where your awareness becomes tangled and your power leaks. Instead of the fragile calm you maintain by suppressing yourself, I am offering you the unshakable stillness that arises from complete alignment with me. And I'm doing it so that you can move forward into the future without the unseen threads of sabotage pulling you back. There's no greater sacrifice than giving up your mental strength to avoid pain. I'm getting rid of the fake so you can get rid of the real. And as I go, don't go after what I've taken away. Don't try to revive what I've known as finished. I'm asking for obedience, not resentment. Pray for those you must leave behind, but do not bind yourself to them, for I am no longer you. That's about wholeness now. That's about true peace, not the kind that requires you to make cuts, but the kind that allows you to stand tall inside the identity I placed inside you. Think about me. I won't take anything you need from you. I'm separating you because what's about to happen requires a closed area, and your spirit will rise in that direction. You'll regain consciousness. You'll develop a clear voice. Most importantly, your tranquility will remain unaltered, unshaken, and unaltered. I swear to you. I noticed the pain in your chest as some doors abruptly closed. I saw how heartbroken you were when you heard familiar voices grow aloof and promises go unmet. It was a sudden, sharp, and undeserved loss. It felt like something essential had been taken from you, as if what you lost was the glue that held you together. But I want you to understand something that will surely be confirmed with hindsight. What has been removed is not intended to stay. What was gone had been useful. With release, what dissolved is no longer lost. It appears to you as subtraction. In my opinion, this process creates a space for growth. And soon, the same thing that made your heart tremble with grief will make your lips tremble with appreciation. The very element that will lead to your deliverance in the next season is the same one that felt like destruction in the previous season. I don't let things leave your lives unless there is a divine reason for it. Nothing vanishes without cause. Will we go for walks together? Your tears were no longer in vain. You were no longer excluded from the pain you endured. However, they haven't been useless either. Every silence I maintained, every shift I made, and every conclusion I allowed had a purpose. What you couldn't see, I saw. Whereas all you could feel was the emptiness, I saw what came before. You just noticed the opening. I observed the exercise. You were obsessed with what was lost. I was targeted because of what I was about to pour into your life. And the moment is approaching when waves of clarity will greet you. You might remember the evenings you cried and realize that I was already utilizing fresh joy behind the scenes. You will remember those times of miscommunication and discover that they were actually the first steps toward more profound revelation. You might now interpret the explosion as divine rerouting rather than rejection. I did not steal what you desired. I accepted what was gradually transforming your identity and silently depleting you, a far cry from my original intentions. When I had plenty in the shop, you had been content to get by. You had been holding on to what became a friendship, oblivious to the fact that a significant portion of your strength was being used to uphold something I didn't know you were capable of. And I understand that at the time, it didn't feel safe. It was like being abandoned. I can tell you now, though, that it appears to have transformed into mercy. It became prescience. They turned into me watching over your future with protection. What you lament became my means of making space for something greater. And when it comes to you, you might look back and say, "Thank you, I didn't provide you what you wanted." You will enjoy the redirection. You might say, "Lord, now I see." You might be grateful that I didn't respond to many of your prayers the way you had hoped. The very thing you were crying over and letting go of became the obstacle to what I was once close to delivering. I don't put things off arbitrarily. I no longer purposefully deny. I never move rid of something without first preparing to repair it. What you gave up is less amazing than what I'm creating in you now with every moment of surrender. Sorrow is reinterpreted in this section of the adventure. It is during this season that tears become testimony. You might find strength in rising rather than focusing solely on healing. And the ascent will bring depth, tranquility, and knowledge. This is the type of gratitude that defies imitation or coercion. This gratitude manifests most effectively once you've pierced through the debris of my paintings and transformed them into something truly brilliant. Indeed, there have been issues that were painful to introduce. Yes, there have been times when you wanted to go back in time. But you'll realize why I'm bothering you very soon. Additionally, your coronary heart won't hurt while you do this. It will spill over. This is not only because I provided you with something better, but also because you will eventually come to understand that I have consistently recognized what is truly excellent. You have entrusted me in the darkness, and now I will reveal what I have been diligently preparing in the light. It will exchange everything for pleasure, which is on the way. I understand how difficult it has been to try to explain what you sense deep down and be met with blank looks, perplexity, or worse, condemnation. You've hidden a fireplace inside that nobody else can see. And you've struggled to defend your choices, your actions, your silence, and your compliance. You wish they could capture it. You've made an effort to put your cause into words that could help them understand it better. But no matter how many ways you've attempted to explain the weight you feel or the direction I've found you, their eyes will always be clouded. Not intentionally, but because they were not meant to comprehend what was created just for your soul. And I'm here to tell you to take a breath. It's a rest. You would rather not stand up for what I created. Not everyone agrees with the anointing I placed over your life. Your assignment does not include a panel of human judges. I didn't deliver your instructions to a large group of people. I muttered them into your soul's depths. Furthermore, you are called to proceed from that hallowed area rather than the need for approval. Because you are incorrect. You are not misinterpreted. What I'm doing to you is beyond verbal explanation, so you're misunderstood. Surface requirements cannot be used to measure non-secular substances. I've marked you with something specific, and it's okay that no one is ready to comprehend it anymore. You are no longer in charge of opening their eyes. If it's important, I'll take care of that later. But for now, I want you to boldly walk in what I've demonstrated to you. You don't want them to continue applauding. Settlement walking, in truth, is not what you want. You find peace in the knowledge that the one who shaped you has already validated you. I have observed you retreat, reconsider your decisions, and hesitate because the people you expected to support you are instead questioning your direction. However, they weren't turning you away. They couldn't possibly comprehend what I've been hiding for a season. I usually wait until the designated hour to reveal the full extent of my plans. No longer merely to keep you safe, but to verify your solution. Are you able to keep moving forward even if those around you do not pause? When no one supports your course, can you remain reliable? When people think you're lost, can you continue to follow me? It's where you can truly mature. It's truly where your roots grow deep, not in recognition, but in alignment. Now, I want you to assume the responsibility of seeking understanding. You can no longer hold it. I never suggested stopping your journey until they caught up. I never asked you to scale back your business to make them feel more comfortable. Your efforts to translate divine revelation into human terms have exhausted you. However, I am now removing that burden. Step into what I have given you. Let your presence have a greater impact than your arguments. What words cannot show, the fruit will. Your obedience will be self-evident. They might notice that you have undergone a simple change. And eventually, those who doubt you now will wonder how you manage to stay so consistent. It really is. However, you may testify no longer from a place of safety but rather from a working example that I am who I claim to be and that I finish what I start, rather than from a desire to prove anything. Bless them and continue transferring even if they still don't understand. You're not called upon to persuade. Tokep is the name given to you. The oil I've discovered for your lifestyles belongs to the intended recipients. Avoid giving it away in an attempt to convince or prepare people. On your course, I can find the appropriate charts. People who understand your spirit without a complete explanation do not walk freely at the moment. I sincerely apologize for what I asked of you. Oh, we're giving into our healthy inner ignorance. Don't follow me. I'll take care of the rest. Because of your obedience, you've been feeling alone, haven't you? You are walking forward with conviction, surrounded by people who doubt your path. When you know you've heard from me, it could feel disorienting or even separating. But those around you are still trapped in what they think they know. I would like to reassure you, though, that the floor isn't the whole picture. While you've been focusing on their outward responses, I've been speaking directly to the invisible depths of their souls. I have been sowing seeds in their souls long before you attempted to explain your actions, even though they won't respond the way you had hoped. They won't explain it now. They'll even outright deny it. But they have already sensed my presence stirring deep within them. They are unable to provide a satisfactory explanation for the stirring. They experience a restlessness from which they cannot escape, a silent understanding that, despite what they say, something sacred is taking place all around them. Silence does not imply disengagement. There is no resistance from Delu. I have methods for winning hearts that bypass the brain. No voice can mimic the whispering that my spirit knows how to do. I can talk even when they are asleep. I will float even in their routine. And I've been doing precisely that. I can see why you wanted them to confirm your identity. You've yearned for their assistance and the connection of mutual expertise. Yes, clarity may eventually also arrive, but I've already begun the verbal communication with their soul, which is, as of right now, hidden from view. I can piece them together without your motivations. I kindly request your consent to continue walking. I'll handle the awakening. When the time comes, I will open their eyes. There's no need to push. Pressing is not what you want. I have initiated a process that is a good way to unfold, as it is intended to do. They are going to wrestle. They will avoid it. However, something inside of them refuses to go back to sleep. The coronary heart begins to respond immediately when I breathe into the spirit, no matter how much my thoughts protest. I apply paint in layers. I remove what has been solidified by ache, fear, unhappiness, or satisfaction. And I regain sensitivity gradually, step by step. Together, you have been planting throughout your life. They have been receiving things without understanding them. You set boundaries with grace. You spoke without using a shield. They benefited from every silent act of bravery. Or even now, their moments are reverberating in locations they can't really call. You shouldn't hate the put off. Like dawn, revelation often comes. It no longer happens abruptly, but rather gradually gentle builds. Knowledge increases. And it won't be because you made it happen. I'll be the one to reveal it. Internally, what you said was heard, even though it might have also been ignored externally. I'm spiritually verifying what they rejected intellectually. I have taken over from right here, and I will finish the paintings I have begun in them, though your voice may have grown weary too. To your dismay, let me remind you of something you've forgotten. On this endeavor, you are no longer alone. I go before you, and I walk beside you. Before you speak, I untill the soil of hearts. When verbal communication has failed, I provide an alternative. I crack open what's sealed, and that I save time in ways that you can't measure. Thus, let's mark off the influence of stress. Now is the time to start the burden of understanding. You no longer have to bear that burden. It's your responsibility to trust me with their future as well as yours. I haven't finished them yet. I know now what their manner is. Furthermore, it doesn't follow that their spirit hasn't already responded just because their mind is taking a while to catch up. See what I do in the silence. Observe my unassured transformation. I've started already. Let that be your tranquility. Let me take care of that chest ache. The only thing that erupts is when a loved one starts to follow the crowd. You have pondered it after phrasing the alternate in their tone, their hesitancy to be there, and the growing communication gap. You've gone back and reviewed certain moments, wondering if you said enough or not enough. You've been wondering what you could have done differently to keep what's slipping through your hands. But the truth I'm here to discuss is a good way to make your soul comfortable. They were never meant to be a part of your developing future if they are unable to walk with you now and decide to depart as I am guiding you forward. I no longer harm you by casting off humans. I intentionally separate. And even though it hurts right now, what appears to be rejection is usually a safeguard against further heartache down the road. Some relationships had worked best when they were asked to walk a few chapters with you rather than the whole way. Although each cause is no longer permanent, their presence had a purpose. And that is no longer a sign that something is wrong with you or a reflection of your value. It's a symbol of change. I'm adjusting your course. You cannot share the burden of your upcoming season with those who are still stuck in your past. You're changing. Really, you're hearing me better. Even at your own expense, you are obeying. Your surroundings are altered by that degree of surrender, and nobody will feel safe in that new environment. Some will back off since they don't recognize the version of you that I'm showing them. People will leave because they realize that your commitment to obedience exposes their compromise. Don't think about it separately. You were never intended to bear the blame for someone else's departure. I'm cutting off not just your surroundings, but also your emotional ties to things that no longer fit with your purpose. Those who aren't prepared for what comes next will quietly leave. Recognize this even though you could feel the sting of their absence. Letting go now is preferable to carrying the incorrect burden into sacred space. Be a proponent of extending relationships that constantly demand you defend yourself, minimize your success, and tone down your audacity so they can feel at ease. Pavilion is lacking. It's really enslavement cloaked in allegiance. I'm calling you into freedom, into alignment with God, into places where you don't need to control your fire to keep the peace. Your loyalty to me won't be questioned by the people I'm sending into your destiny. They'll respect it. They might not be able to compete with your light anymore. They will defend it. You won't be drawn back into old-fashioned styles by them. They'll force you to act. Thus, you concur with me regarding the vacant seats. When familiar faces turn out to be memories, I agree with you. When the connections you rely on close abroad, accept it as true with me. Now I'm not subtracting because I'm cruel. I'm putting the degree toward what can most easily thrive in a pure environment. They would have obstructed your transformation if they were unable to handle your transition. Furthermore, I'm no longer letting anything get in the way of what I've ordained. We're not leaving you. They're taking you to readability. And give me the pain if their absence hurts. You can be comforted by me. With my presence, I can fill the void they formerly occupied. And eventually, I'll be able to put you in the company of the right people, people who share your adventure and can smell my spirit in your way of life. You don't have to beg for everyone to survive. If they must, let them go. Knowing that what I have for you cannot be lost, let them go with grace. My plans are not in jeopardy. They no longer depend on human constancy. They have their roots in timeless wisdom and will be realized with or without the consent of those who turn away. So raise your eyes and dab at your tears. Your transition is no longer lost. And there are a lot of pure connections in the future. You might wonder why you ever made any kind of compromise. Let those who have to leave. You can't just walk into the next day by yourself anymore. We're going for walks together. You have been holding on to what caused the wound while you wait for it to heal. I'm hoping that spending time alone will stop the pain, that endurance will put things right, and that a little more perseverance will somehow mend what has been damaged for a long time. However, some healings don't start until the farewell is said completely, not just with words, but with your heart as well. The best time for a full recovery is after discharge. You observe that some pains are constantly reopened by proximity, even though they are no longer present because they are incurable. Anything that keeps getting reopened with the same touch cannot be bandaged. You have surrounded yourself with the very things that disrupt the peace you have prayed for. You have asked me to mend your soul while still accommodating the things that continue to cause it pain. But when giving up is complete, healing starts when the past is not romanticized. Even though I've already told you to let things pass, you don't reach for it. You keep hoping that they'll trade and let me switch places with you. You can't get what I need to give you while you're still holding on to what's gone awful. I am the newness God. Additionally, newness frequently demands closure. There is a sacred choice within your spirit that proclaims, I release this, instead of a grammatical or bitter farewell. I choose to move forward. I choose to trust you even in the unknown. The choice does not immediately alleviate the pain or suggest that you will forget the memories. Instead, it creates space for genuine healing, eliminates the area where resentment has tried to take root, and enables me to cleanse what has been tainted by repeated disappointment. You are still negotiating until you say goodbye, but you are still leaving a gap for the day before today's return. The recovery I want to offer you, however, necessitates complete closure, not because I'm frustrated, but because I need you whole. You cannot declare freedom while maintaining old bonds, nor can you enter a state of peace while appeasing confusion. And I know it's difficult. I've watched you vacillate in your thoughts, replaying conversations, defending actions, and hoping for a change, but I'm here now, gently but firmly declaring, it's time. No longer because of your failure, not because they are unworthy, but because there is no more time to delay your restoration.